This is Amud Yomi, Gemara and Berachos, Daf Chaf Zayin Amud Aleph, and we pick it up on the bottom of Chavav Amud Beis. We are 4 lines from the bottom. Reb Yehuda Omer Ad Arba Sha'is. What is Saif Zman Tefillah? We had a machlokes in the Mishnah, and Reb Yehuda says until the 4th hour of the day. Asks the Gemara a fundamental question. Anytime we have zmanim, we always have to figure out with the number that we give, is that number included or not? Let's explain. Ibayulu asks the Gemara, ad ve'ad bichlal, and including, oidilma ad v'loyad bichlal, or does it not mean including? What's the difference? Rav Yehuda says until the 4th hour. The 4th hour is a complete hour. According to Rav Yehuda, are you allowed to daven Shacharis during that 4th hour? Ad bichlal, including that 4th hour, or ad v'loyad bichlal, not including that 4th hour. A tremendous difference, and hours of time difference. Says the Gemara, Tashim, I'll bring you a raya, said the Mishnah of Yehuda Omer, ad plaga mincha. With regard to mincha, what did Rav Yehuda teach us? That you have until plag. So now, the Gemara is making an assumption over here that whatever the zman is by one, it's by all. Meaning, if in the Mishnah the zman under discussion is ad ve'ad bichlal, then that's across the board. Ad v'loyad b'chlal, then that is across the board. The Gemara is assuming that the Mishnah is not flip-flopping, and the Mishnah is either giving you a zman that's inclusive of it or not inclusive. So proves the Gemara for the next segment of the Mishnah. The Rav Yehuda said with regard to mincha, you have until plaga mincha. We spoke about this a little bit yesterday. So if it does not mean including the time itself, then when Rav Yehuda says ad plaga mincha, till an hour and a quarter before nightfall, and Rav Yehuda is not including the time of plag itself, the time of that hour and a quarter, then then I understand that there's something different. The Rav Yehuda says you have to stop an hour and a quarter before Shkia, and the Rabbanan allow you until Shkia. But says the Gemara, if according to Rav Yehuda, it means including that Zman, then Rav Yehuda hainu Rabbanan. Rav Yehuda is the Shita of the Rabbanan. So the Gemara wants to prove that it must mean that Rav Yehuda holds ad v'loy ad bichlal. On the top of Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, Elamai. So says the Gemara, okay, 1 second. So what does it mean? Elamai ad v'loy ad bichlal. That means Rav Yehuda is holding, don't include that Zman itself. Okay. Ema Seifa. Look at the end of the Mishnah. What does it say? V'shal Musaf and Golayoim, the Garben Musaf, you have the whole day. Rav Yehuda Omer, ad Sheva Shois. V'tanya, we learned in our Brai, so you live on shtei tefillos. One has 2 tefillos to daven, achshal musaf, achshal misvah, mincha. So what do? You got musaf and mincha to daven. A scenario that actually happens to people. So you have both to daven. Says the Mishnah, misbalel shel mincha, v'achshal musaf. First daven mincha and then musaf. Why? Shezu tadira. Because this one, mincha is tadir, v'zu einai tadira, and musaf is not as tadir. Mincha is every single day, whereas musaf is what? Only once. Whatever, Yontif, Shabbos, etc. Rav Yehuda Omer comes along Rav Yehuda and he disagrees, and he says, Mispalel shel musaf, v'acher kach shel mincha. Says Rav Yehuda, you first daven musaf, and then you daven mincha. Why? Why would Musaf comes first? Usually the side of Tadir v'she'enoi Tadir, Tadir kaidem, which is what the Tanakama said. That which is more common, that which is more Tadir, comes first. So why is Rabbi Yehuda saying that Musaf should come first? Says the Gemara, Shezu Iveres. Because Rabbi Yehuda holds that the Zman for a Musaf is going to pass by. Zu Iveres. V'zu Ein Iveres. You leave that Mishnah over there. V'zu Einoi Iveres. This one passes, no, I thought I got it. V'zu Einoi Iveres. This one passes by, and this one does not pass by. Why does this one not pass by? Because according to Rav Yehuda, mincha is until plag ha-mincha. Wait, so how does it not pass by? If Rav Yehuda said plag ha-mincha, he's including the zman of plag ha-mincha. Now we can understand that both tefillas have the same amount of time, according to Rav Yehuda, because you're including plag, which means they both have, most of them, mincha has the entire day. But says the Gemara, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, excuse me, how long do you have for Musaf? Only 7 hours. If according to Rabbi Yehuda, we're saying we don't include the time for mincha itself. The two tefillos never coincide. Why? Once the zman for mincha comes, azlala shall musafim. The zman of musaf has already passed, because the 7th hour is not included. And so then after that finishes, then the Zman for Mincha starts. So says the Gemara for the next part of the Mishnah, it seems that it's ad ve'ad bechlal. Elamai ad ve'ad bechlal, kasharisha. Ma'ika ben Rav Yehuda, lira bonon. Says the Gemara, whichever way you turn it, we're having a little bit of a problem. We're 15 lines down. The first word in the line is lira bonon. So says the Gemara, mi savris tai plaga mincha plaga chroina kamar. Says Mar, 1 second. We're assuming here there's 2 plagues. There's plag in the beginning of the day and plag in the latter of the day. There's plag by mincha gedoyla, which is earlier, mincha ketana, which is later. So you're assuming plag is by the latter, plag by mincha ketana, plag rishayna kamar. He meant by plag rishayna vachi kamar. And this is what Rav Yehuda meant to say. Rav Yehuda, when he said that you have for mincha until plag mincha, he means when did the first half leave and the second half come? Which is 10 3/4 hours into the day. And that's how the Gemara is explaining that he's including half of the zman of mincha, not really plaga mincha, but rather half of the zman of mincha. Amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, I learned very similarly in a Mishnah. Rav Yehuda ben Baba Heir Chamisha Dvarim testifies. Rav Yehuda ben Baba 5 things. Shemayin is a katana number 1. There's a din of mion by a katana. What's a mion? That a katana who gets married, she's allowed to walk out of the marriage. She's allowed to say, "I don't want this husband." Number 2, without a woman to get married if there's one aid that testified that her husband was nifter overseas. Number 3, a tarnagol they once stoned in Yerushalayim. Why? Because the tarnagol killed a person. This is a Gemara in Baba Kama. Tef Yomi will be there soon enough. That the tarnagol, Rashi explains, pecked at the head of an infant, killing the infant. And even though stoning, skila, is really only for killing a person, says the Gemara Baba Kama Daf Nun Daled, a gzir shava, that will apply to an animal or a bird as well. Number 4, wine 40 days old is allowed to be poured for nisachim on the mizbeach. And finally, val tamid shal shachar shekarav be'arba sha'is. You're allowed to bring the Talmud Shel Shachar during the 4th hour of the day. Shema Mina ad va'al b'chlaf. For the fact that it says shekarav be'arba sha'is, that extra beis tells me it's during that 4th hour. Shema Mina, that ad va'ad b'chlal, according to Yehuda, Shema Mina, and that is a conclusive raya. Amar Rav Kahana. First segment of today's shir, halacha ki Rabbi Yehuda hayol tetanan b'bechirasa kavasei. The bechir, the great brises, told him what is the bechirusa? That is, of course, referring to Idias. And we continue on the last narrow line, Valtam shel shach shekarav be'arba sha'is, quoting the Mishnah that we just quoted from Idias, that the Karban Shel Shachar is allowed to be brought during the first 4 hours. Man tana laha. Who is the Tana of this Lahad Tana that we learned in a Brayso? V'cham hashemesh v'names. It says, and the sun grows hot and it's going to melt. Be'arba sha'is. Says the Gemara again on the second white line, Bar B'Shais, 4 hours of the day. Atom Bar B'Shais, or an Ela B'Shais. When it says like the heat of the day, Hari Shais summer. 6 hours into the day, there's hotter. What do I mean when the sun grows hot? Which means that it's growing hot. It's still some shade. It's just getting hot. So who is the Tana who holds that the 4th hour of the day is no longer the morning? Therefore, the 4th hour is starting the second segment of the day, the 4th hour connecting to the 6th hour. Lo Rav Yehuda, lo Rabbanan, Rav Yehuda, ad arba shayis nami safra. According to Rav Yehuda, you have until the end of the 4th hour. Rabbanan, ad chatzais nami safra. The Rabbanan even more mekel. They said you have until chatzais. Says the Gemara, by same Rav Yehuda, by same Rabbanan. By same Rabbanan, amar kraba boiker baboiker chalkul lishnei bekarim. That what? We take the morning and we split it into 2 mornings. We take the 6 hours and we split it into 3 and 3. And therefore, in the pasuk says that they gathered the man during the beginning of the morning. That's referring to the first 3 hours. And then v'cham hashemesh v'names, and the sun grew hot and it melted. That's the next 3 hours. The fact that the extra word biker means bring it back an hour. Ask my mashma. Where does everyone know that the sun is melting at the 4th hour? And this is really what we knew a moment ago, but now we see the drasha. At what point? Where do we see that the sun is hot and the shade is cold a little bit? And we wrap it up. We're at the 2 dots, about 15 lines from the bottom. Mincha ad ha'erev. That mincha you have until the evening. And Rav Yehuda said until plag ha-mincha. So what's the halacha? Rav Yehuda you have until plag ha-mincha, the end of the plag ha-mincha. Whole time say excuse me, that was going back. So Rav Chizda said to Rav Huna, Hasam, that's what we just quoted a moment ago. We pass like Rav Yehuda with regard to Shachris. They have until the 4th hour of the day. Why? Because the Mishnah and Idea says like Rav Yehuda, which of course that's what we hold at Soif Siman Tefillah. Hacha by Mincha Mai, Ishtik v'lo Amar Lamidi. Amar Rav Chizda nechseyanan. Midirav Matzil Shabbos Erev Shabbos V'Yoyim. Rav David Erev Shabbos during the day. Shmamina Rav Yehuda must be that he follows the opinion of Rav Yehuda that according to Rav Yehuda you're allowed to daven mincha until plaga mincha, and therefore we see you're allowed to daven ma'ariv after plaga mincha. Says the Gemara, this is the hotly contested Gemara with regard to davening ma'ariv flag, when it's allowed, when it's lechatchila, when it's b'diavad, when it's not allowed. Says the Gemara, ad Rabba, midrav Huna v'Rabbanan lavi matzi ad orta, for the fact that Rav Huna and the Rabbanan wouldn't daven ma'ariv until the night. Shmamina ina lachik Rav Yehuda. So says the Gemara, hashtag loiter hilchos loy kamar, the famous words. David mar David uDavid kemar David. You're allowed to go like either one, whichever way you want. You're allowed to paskin like Rav Yehuda, or you're allowed to paskin like the Chacham. Now, what exactly that means, you're allowed to paskin like either one, that is a very debated point. The Pashta says you can paskin like either one. However, one has to have either one, not both. You can't do one day like this and one day like this. You can't one day have mincha before plag and ma'ariv after, and the next day daven mincha after plag and ma'ariv after tzeis. You got to choose and you got to go steady. What does it mean choose? Does it mean always? Does it mean per day, etc.? That's a long and lengthy discussion. One last story to close out today. Rav Iklalabei Geniva of Tzal Shabbos Erev Shabbos. He davened the ma'ariv during Friday. Rav Yirmiyah bar Rav Lachrid. Rav Yirmiyah is davening behind him. See him. Rav Lepiskal Susei Rav Yirmiyah. Rav finished the Shmoneh, and he didn't stop and didn't disrupt Rav Yirmiyah. Shema Mina Talah says the Gemara for this story. We learn 3 dinim. Shema Mina Misal Shadam Be'erev Shabbos. That everyone's going to agree. You let it Mishal Shabbos Erev Shabbos. Let it bring in Shabbos early. Ushma Mina after plag. Shema Mina Misal Talmid Achir Rabbi, that a Talmud dam is behind his Rabbi. Shema Mina also laver ki neged Mispalel, that when someone is Spalelin, that when someone is davening Shmoneh, you're not allowed to walk in front of them. It says the Gemara, this last thing is they would pass by. So let it pass by once you're outside the Dalit Amos, the person davening. Pick it up from here in the next year of Siyata Dishmaya.